Good morning and welcome to today's FYI program. Real pleasure to have in studio with us Darryl Hogue. He's going to be the outgoing superintendent of schools at Riverbend, and of course taking over the position will be Kelly Parsons. She's with us today as well. But Darryl, let's get started with the weather because my goodness, it is going to be extremely cold this weekend. Of course, you got the Otten Shootout coming up on Saturday, school tomorrow. So talk about the guidelines. I would imagine you make the call on whether there's school or not.
Yeah, I do get to make the call. Kelly will get to do that next year.
Yeah.
So I'm training her to do that. Typically, I put a little sort of information out at the beginning of as we get into the winter season. And I talk about, what options we have when we have snow days or need to cancel school. And I have kind of three options as we look at this. One, if at the end of the year we have a day that doesn't keep us coming back on a Monday or following Labor Day weekend, we typically in school before Labor Day weekend. This year it just so happens that we have the Friday. Our final day with students is a Wednesday, final day with staff is a Thursday, so that Friday is open. So if we do make a decision to cancel school, we'll plug that into that particular day. So that's option one. We also have designated holidays that we tell families we will use that holiday, President's Day, the Monday after Easter, if necessary. That keeps our schedule intact. Families do appreciate if we can keep our schedule intact. The other option we have is an e-learning day. The state of Illinois allows you to use e-learning. We've gone through the process of being able to use e-learning. The board has to make a decision about that. They've supported e-learning. So we will use e-learning as well as a day.
So do you get up at 4 in the morning and drive around and see what the conditions are like?
Yeah, usually 4:30, 5 o'clock. If there's a call before the day, we will try and get it out before 6 a.m. Again, I like to keep families as informed as possible, so the earlier the better. Typically, the weather folks have been pretty good about, especially the cold. I mean, everybody knows it's going to be super cold tomorrow. We follow the National Weather Service. I have a National Weather Service link. They reach out to superintendents and do webinars and Zoom meetings as well, keep us looped in with the folks out of the Quad Cities. And so we have pretty good information. And then I've got probably 20 to plus texts from area superintendents. We have a little network as well. It says, hey, what are people thinking? What are they doing? We like to kind of support one another as best we can. And it's interesting for Riverbend, we are the first school in Whiteside County we're the farthest west. So the Iowa schools, and we're just north enough that sometimes we do things differently than Sterling, Rock Falls, Dixon, some of the other schools in Whiteside County. Morrison, often we're in, kind of lockstep. Typically we talk to one another and, make that decision kind of collectively at times. Again, sometimes those snow weather systems, they can dump right on one location and leave the other alone. So when it's snowy and there's a question of whether you can have school or not, it's best to get out and check the roads out and make a decision day of. But again, if I can, I'm trying to, and I've been wrong, sometimes they're sure we're going to get, 6 inches of snow when we get 2. That's happened a time or two. But with the cold, they're usually pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. Again, visiting with Darryl Hogue and Kelly Parsons. You got some great talking points. Let's get into them. Current district initiatives, address that.
Yeah, so academically, I'll start there. We've worked on something called STEAMER Success Indicators, and these success indicators are a graduate profile. So what do we want our kids to experience pre-K through 12th grade as they go through our school system? And so we brought the community together, the board, teachers, students, and spent all of last year sort of prioritizing what we thought was important for kids to gain while in our school system. And then Kelly put a plan together that sort of identified how we would break those out, by grade level bands. Kelly, you want to
Yeah,
highlight
Kelly.
some of that?
Yep, actually, I'm pulling it up now on my phone.
There we are. So great to have phones now, isn't it? My
It
goodness
is.
gracious.
It absolutely is. So we did a lot of work to start the school year on identifying the components that we wanted to go along with each of the success indicators. And that's what I'm trying to pull up, but I'm not having a whole lot.
Did any of the students have a role in this? I mean, did you get with some
We
of the
did.
student council and things like
Yep.
that?
Actually, what we did to start the process to choose our 5 indicators to begin, we had board members, we had community members, we had teachers, parents, and we invited students to the table as well. So we had 4 or 5 meetings over the course of the last school year where we got together and really looked at the components that we wanted our students to be able to the things we wanted them to be able to do. What are they going to need to be successful? Business people, adults, parents, community members, and we had those discussions. We mixed up the groups of people each time to kind of get different voices to speak up at the table, and we came up with the 5 indicators that we feel thank you, best.
So what are those 5 indicators?
Those 5, thank you. Communication, critical thinking, perseverance, wellness, and responsibility.
Okay.
So 5 easy ones, except for when you're sitting on the radio with a
Yeah.
microphone in your face and have
You
to
know,
think of all of them.
I always think it's great when you do involve the students because it kind of
Oh,
gives
for
them
sure.
some ownership of their environment, doesn't it, Darryl?
It does. What I like about what Kelly did with this work is she, communication, critical thinking, responsibility, wellness, and persistence. You think about those, that means something very different to a preschooler and a kindergartner than it does to a junior or senior in high school. And so our teachers developed what the components and the criteria look like, shaped around our collective definition of good communication, good critical thinking, skill use, responsibility. And what I like about this work is it can be, it's universal, and we can give parents feedback on it, and we can, again, especially with the components and the criteria, we can dial right down to what that means for each individual student as best we can. So we're excited about sort of promoting, communicating out that work.
So again, that's the STEAMer Success Indicators. What is learning standard alignment?
Yeah. So one of the things that schools get are standards. Our standards typically come from our state. So we have something called the Illinois Learning Standards. Each grade level, each subject area has a set of standards that define what good instruction looks like in that grade level, that grade activity, math, ELA, writing, vocabulary. Again, every subject has PE, has standards. And we are, the states measure schools' success, if you will, on how students do on these standards. We have Illinois Assessment of Readiness, IAR. Those tests take place in grades 3 through 8. At the high school, they have the ACT. Again, that's a national standards-based test. And so we've looked at all those standards. Kelly's working with the team to identify a process in which we're going to look at those standards and then talk about what are the ones that are key and critical. Because honestly, there's way more standards than one could probably teach successfully and in depth well. I'll let you kind of sort of take it from there,
Thanks.
Kelly, as you outlined what that process is going to look like.
Yeah. So what we're going to start with is similar to where we started with the STEAMer Success Indicators. One of the first steps was redefining the success indicators in language that would make sense to that grade level. So you could talk to that student in preschool, in 5th grade, and tell them what that means. So the first step that we're going to take next week, actually, with the staff is looking at all of the all of the standards and redefining those each standard and what it would mean if we were going to tell a parent, this is what we're teaching your child right now, and then also to those children, this is what we're working on right now. This is what you'll be able to do once you finish this class.
All right, we're visiting with Darryl Hogue and Kelly Parsons. We'll have more on our FYI, but let's take a break for the weather, brought to you by the Clinton Midas.
A good mix of clouds and sunshine for your Thursday as we await the bitterly cold Arctic air that will arrive tonight. Going to be a little windy at times, too. We'll see highs today topping out in the mid-20s. Tonight, the Arctic air arrives. The winds pick up, will fall to 10 below zero, wind chills near 35 below. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Right now we do see sunshine. We're at 14 degrees. Winds currently out of the southwest. Our update brought to you by Midas. Trust the Midas touch with your Clinton Midas, 1432 Lincoln Way. We are in the heart of winter. Make sure you are in a dependable vehicle. See the Clinton Midas for tires, windshield wipers, and they carry interstate batteries. If the engine light comes on, let the Clinton Midas give it a diagnostic check. From general maintenance to major repairs, come to the Clinton Midas, 1432 Lincoln Way. Trust the Midas touch, backed by their golden guarantee. On FYI, we're visiting with Darryl Hogue and Kelly Parsons, the Riverbend schools. Of course, you wanted to stay with the STEAMer success indicators and that standard procedure, right, Darryl?
Yeah. So, as Kelly mentioned, the teachers are working to identify each of the standards in each of the grade levels, each of the subject areas. So once we've identified the key core power standards, we'll call them, teachers then begin to, all right, we've got what we want to teach. Now let's talk about how we're going to measure, what does success look like? We've identified what we want kids to do. How will we know if they've done that? And if they haven't, what will we do? So the next step after identifying all those standards is looking at what measurements, whether that's a measurement we create in-house or use something that already exists, we will identify the best ways to measure those standards and measure student learning is really what we're doing. And if we hope students are successful, but if they're not or they've struggled with a concept, we will hopefully see that as well, can go reteach, reinforce, and then report out, to families, to kids, how they've done on these standards. The other thing we want kids to do is sort of learn and be owners of their learning as well. So they will begin to see, all right, here's the standard. If we give feedback that says, utilize more adverbs when you're writing, or more adjectives. Can you add more adjectives? The student can go back and sort of improve that and begin to then see that process take place, and hopefully jump in and help others as they learned how to utilize the feedback as best they can.
As I point out, you got some great talking points here, and I think you just kind of jump ahead, because I think this kind of ties in with what we're talking about, the high school work-study initiatives.
Yeah, so...
since we're talking about initiatives.
Yeah. Our high school has always been, Fulton High School has always been a sort of a leader in the area, I guess I'll say, really a leader in the state, in providing opportunities for students to apply their learning in a workspace, workforce type of opportunity. We call it workforce development, work study, if you think about it that way. So we're on a block schedule. So every period at the high school is 80 minutes. We have our seniors select careers that they would like to explore during their senior year, and they can do that every day or every other day based on what their schedule allows. And we match them with employers who then take them in for that 45 to 65 minutes. They leave the school campus, they go on site to the various work. We've had some exceptional opportunities for kids. In fact, I'm sure there's been multiple students here at KROS doing their work study, and if I remember right, a couple of them are in in media programs in college right
Yeah.
now, pursuing
Cole
careers.
Skipper?
Yeah, right?
It's
Yes.
at the top of my,
Yes.
my mind as you were
So
speaking
you
about that.
guys provided for him,
I think his
know,
brother was in too.
the foundation
Yeah.
for his career, right? He learned all the good things there are about being in media and the tough things, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he learned that he likes it enough to continue looking at it in college. I've met with kids. My dissertation was in this topic, so I just love the topic. When I was doing my dissertation, students told me that they did not like their work-study experience because they knew they didn't want to do something they thought they wanted to do. That's as valuable as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So we look for placements with students throughout Clinton, Fulton, Morrison. We've sent a few to Thompson area to some of the manufacturers up there. Albany takes kids, so we spread the wealth, if you will, and are so appreciative of those employers that are willing to give the kids a really relevant experience.
Does this kind of tie in line with the area cooperations with
Yeah.
the Iowa schools in, Darryl?
Yeah, it definitely does. So I have enjoyed, Fulton is uniquely positioned on the east side of the Mississippi River. The west side and the state line is divided by that Mississippi River. And that can be a real barrier educationally. All our kiddos, sort of by state mandate, get support from Illinois community colleges, but yet plenty go to Clinton Community College. And so as superintendents, our job is to serve our community as best we can, right? And so serving our community means finding and accessing spaces and opportunities in Iowa for our students. And so we've partnered with Clinton Community College. Brian, oh boy, I can't think of his last name.
Brian Kelly.
Kelly, thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Kelly has been wonderful about inviting Riverbend to area meetings with area superintendents. Through those meetings, the superintendents are part of the Grow Clinton. Again, Clinton's got just a lot of unique people working together for the betterment of Clinton, and I appreciate that. So the Grow Clinton folks have invited us to the table as well. So each of the superintendents are there partnering with Grow Clinton. In fact, we have a education employer symposium coming up Thursday, March 5th, and I don't know the exact time. But I would encourage any employers listening, folks out there that want to learn more about how education and employment can work together for a win-win, come to that event. But so the area superintendents all have some of the same needs, right? Like we all have high school students who we want to get these workforce development experiences. We don't also want to burden or overload our employer partners, and so we've talked about how can we work together so that we're not duplicating, we are placing people in the right spaces, we're not sort of stepping on one another's toes, and it's really been a fun partnership. So this education symposium, Grow Clinton is the host, but all the schools are the contributors, and the employers and the community colleges all kind of come together for this.
This time is just flying by. We've got about 6 minutes left in the program. I got a couple more things I want to go over. First of all, before we get into the transition, summer learning opportunities.
Yeah, we've had, Kathleen Skipper, who retired last year as the middle school principal. She was middle school principal, high school principal, assistant superintendent, or assistant curriculum director, if you will. We put a week-long set of classes together for students and families, as well as probably 25 to 35 field trips throughout the summer that kids can join in. And so learning doesn't end, on that Thursday or Friday before
Is this
Labor
available
Day.
for all grade levels, Darryl? Or primarily high school?
No, probably more third grade through high school.
Okay.
We do have some opportunities for younger kids, but it's way more specific, and we do that in August. So they actually can come back a week or 2 weeks early, 2 weeks prior to school starting, and we have some early learning opportunities as well. But so students get a catalog of all the classes. They sign up. It's a very popular day when that catalog goes out because it's kind of sometimes it's first come first serve. The trips have been wildly popular. We go into Chicago, to Springfield, to Dubuque. You know,
That's
we just
interesting.
take kids and provide some real opportunities for them.
Yeah, how does this idea come about?
When I worked in the suburbs, we had a summer school program every summer. It was 6 weeks. I mean, it was 6 weeks. Parents kind of liked it because kids would go to school from 8 to noon, then go to the pools in the afternoon, it seemed like. But it was part of the makeup of the land. Anyway, so I've always sort of said, man, I wish we could. We've tried it in various iterations, never worked. But following COVID, we had some extra funds and resources. And so the board got behind really paying teachers and creating these opportunities that were really rich and meaningful. We tried it. Kids loved it. It continued to grow each year. We have 150 plus kids that attend a variety of classes or field trips. And so it's grown out of, we tried it and it was successful. Kids enjoyed it. The teachers enjoyed teaching it. It's 1 week, so it's not, your whole summer. And these field trips have been, again, a great learning experience. And it just stuck once we tried it.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. Okay, wrapping it up with you both, and again, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a great half hour. Let's talk about the transition. How's that going?
Transition?
How's that going for you, Kelly?
So far, so good. To step back into the cooperative work with Iowa, I honestly feel like I've been to as many meetings in Iowa or with folks from Clinton, DeWitt,
Northeast.
Community College, Northeast, all over the place, getting to know people across the river. So Darryl has done a great job of including me in all of the meetings and all of the exciting things, such as these interviews and the discussions I'm sure we'll have later today about the impending weather. But so far, so good for me. I did joke last night at the board meeting that it's been a very educational year. I don't know if Darryl wanted his last year to have so many things arise that are maybe causing gray hairs or keeping us up at night thinking about, but I sure am learning quite a bit having him kind of walk me through and talk me through a lot of the experiences.
So when's your official first day as superintendent?
Officially July 1,
okay.
Unless he uses up some leave at the end of June. So I think I'll find out a little bit later this year.
All right. So what has it been like for you these past 14 years you were telling me?
Yeah. I've just thoroughly loved the job, the position. Sorry, I didn't anticipate the thinking back, reflecting on 12 years, right?
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been, again, I was the middle school principal in Morrison, and Fulton had an opening, and I applied for it, and they embraced me and brought me in, and we've worked really hard. I've appreciated the support of the board and the variety of opportunities they've given us to grow and expand. We didn't really touch on. We've sort of remodeled many of our spaces, made our spaces better, updated our curriculums, and just continued to work hard to make Fulton a place or Riverbend a place that, where everybody is somebody. That's our motto, right? And so we've tried really hard to, just sort of propel our school system through our buildings, through our curriculum, through our athletic experiences, tried to put as many kids as possible, in places where they're going to be successful and can apply their knowledge. Again, I think school is valuable if you can apply what you've learned. And so work is what gives kids the opportunity to do that. And so it's been a lot of fun. That's what's great about Kelly taking over. She has some background in this. She didn't talk about it, but she was an ag teacher for a little bit too. So she just has a heart for kids getting learning experiences that are real and meaningful.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Enjoy the time. And Kelly, I know you're going to do a great job over there.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
You're listening to AM 1340 KROS, Clinton, Iowa.
FM 105.9.
And KROSradio.com.
This is Radio Iowa. Multiple Iowa school districts are on a 2-hour delay, and several are switching to online learning tomorrow due to the extreme cold warning that goes into effect tonight. Forecasters say wind chills tomorrow morning may be 40 below. As many as 20 vehicles, including several semis, were involved in a chain reaction crash on Interstate 35 Wednesday afternoon in Hamilton County. Authorities report no serious injuries. A bill that would stop Summit Carbon from using eminent domain to seize land along its proposed pipeline route passed the Iowa House Wednesday. Republican Representative Stephen Holt of Denison says the carbon pipeline may be beneficial to some, but it does not serve a public purpose.
I think we all want economic development, but not at the expense of the constitutionally protected rights of our fellow citizens.
Republican Representative Brian Losey of Bondurant says the Iowa and U.S. constitutions require that laws apply equally to all those impacted, and that's why he can't support the bill.
What this bill does is creates two separate regulatory schemes depending on what's going through the pipeline. If you say to one pipeline company and their gas pipelines, you can use the eminent domain, but then tell another pipeline that's running a different kind of gas, you can't.
The bill now goes to the Senate, where a Republican leader has proposed an alternative that would allow the pipeline corridor so Summit could go around landowners who have refused to grant the company an easement on their properties. This is Radio Iowa.
To me, working at St. Jude, what makes it so special is that there's more research going on here. At St. Jude, we don't care who cures cancer, we just need to advance the cure. The heart of St. Jude is to take care of children with catastrophic diseases and to advance their cure rates, but we need to be able to do that for everyone. It's a bold initiative to try and bump cure rates all around the world, but it is our commitment.